100.9. It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is The Miller's Edge with Christian Miller, two-time national champion and team captain for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and former Carolina Panther, and his father, Corey Miller, the pastor of pain, a 9-year NFL veteran with the New York Giants and University of South Carolina Hall of Famer. This is The Miller's Edge.
And welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody is doing well. Chase, I will say, man, that music was a little somberish, a little sad, man. Everything good in the studio today?
Yeah, everything's chilling.
No, I'm just messing with you. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys having a good start to your day. Chase, I'm telling you, man, you got to get in on this cold tub action, man. I was in there like probably 9 minutes today. And really not even intentionally. I was just sitting in there, and the next thing I knew, because I didn't set like an actual timer, I just was looking at the clock. It's like, dang, man, I'm like, it's 9 minutes. It's flying by. So the good news is I'm back used to it, because I'm not going to lie to you. One of my buddies was joking around that the video that I posted on Instagram with Polar Plunge, you could see, like, I guess you could tell in my face the first, initial, I guess, plunge, whatever you want to call it, wasn't the most comfortable, man. But like I said, you got to get used to it. Look, if you've never done it before, it probably will take you a number of times to be able to get past like 30 seconds, a minute. I will say, for me, I don't know. I guess it doesn't count for me since I had already done it so much before that. It probably took me like 1 or 2 times, like recently. And then now, I mean, I could sit in there what feels like days. But anyway, that's definitely been a great jump start to my mornings. But again, if you guys want to get in on that or learn more about it, go to Polar Plunge. Excuse me. Wait, dang, I'm drawing a blank. Excuse me. Polar Dive USA.com and use that code Miller, and you can get a discount on any of the stuff you order from. They even have like an in-home sauna thing that you can look into. I like doing sauna stuff too, but I don't have that one personally yet. But that will be next on my list of products from Polar Dive, because they do have a lot of good stuff for your health and well-being. But if you don't know the benefits of cold plunge and all that stuff, man, look it up. I'm not going to sit there and talk to you about that for too long. But basically, I mean, increased energy, resilience to stress, better sleep quality. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, it's not fun in the moment, but the benefits really are worth it. So make sure you guys look into it if it's something that's interesting to you. Plus, with the weather we have now, as hot as it is, at least if you're in our neck of the woods, clearly it probably will feel pretty good sitting in an ice bath when it's damn near 100 degrees outside in Alabama. That being said, in terms of what we got planned for you guys today, we got a video to get into. We didn't get to it yesterday. It was a Talking Tuesday. We went phone calls majority of the way, which is great. And we always want to do that. 205-342-9904. You guys are more than welcome to get in on the action. That video is basically must-haves for Alabama going into 2025. Plus, per usual, I'm always going to give you guys the latest on revenue sharing updates with all that stuff. And I'll just say this: the more closer we get to the season, and you start having these media days and press conferences and things like that, you start hearing more and more from the coaches themselves talking about their experiences thus far. And so I believe it was coaches from the Big 12. They have been talking. I'm assuming they're having their media days, but we've already learned some early insight and perspectives from coaches with this whole new model. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it sounds like a lot of them are pretty displeased. They're not really, I guess, feeling the new changes so much. You would have thought, Chase, that with the new guidelines that we were taking a step closer towards having this thing, fixed up, right? Well, allegedly to these coaches, they make it seem as if they kind of sounded like, I guess, old buddy from Auburn, right? The whole, we don't think everybody's playing by these rules. We'll kind of talk about what that means, because to me, it's starting to get kind of confusing, because I thought it was pretty clear, Chase. You've got revenue sharing, $20.5 million. Everybody's entitled to that. If you have it, if not, that's unfortunate, but you are at least entitled to it. You don't have to. And then the rest of it has to be cleared through the clearinghouse. Well, there's been talk about that. And I'll go over the numbers. There's been a lot of, not cases, but what do you call them? Like deals that have been pushed through. Some of them have not been. Some of them are still sitting there in limbo. So we'll kind of talk about the updates on that. Plus, we'll find stuff and just go with the win, as we call it, right? We always have a number of things planned, and we probably get to like one or two of them, Chase, because the conversation just carries itself, which is a good thing, which I got to tip my hat to you guys, because you guys always do a good job of, bringing up some good points, good questions, talking points, whatever the case may be. Then we just roll from there. And it's always a great time with you guys. Appreciate everybody in the YouTube chat. Appreciate everybody on the Facebook stream, listening live on Tide 100.9, the app, all that good stuff. That being said, we're going to go ahead and hit our first timeout before we really get rolling on this Wednesday edition. Real quick, let me remind you about the Good Feet store while I see them right here on the screen. For all your needs in terms of eliminating and alleviating pain, you got to check out the Good Feet store. Premium arch supports designed just to do that right there. Clinically proven to do so in 4 short weeks. You just throw them in your shoes, literally. Slide them right there under the soles in your shoes, and they get to work. You go back to running, walking, working, whatever the case may be. They'll take care of all that pain. So make sure you guys check them out. First-class customer service. You can find them here in Midtown Village in Tuscaloosa, right there off of McFarland Boulevard. So don't miss out, right? You don't have to schedule an appointment, but if you would like to, go to their website, goodfeet.com, where you can do that. Plus, you can always find the nearest location to you as well right there on the website, goodfeet.com. Again, that is the Good Feet store, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. Quick timeout. We'll be right back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. What's up, guys? Sorry. I ain't gonna lie to you. I should have waited to do that read till after the music. That music, I felt like I was doing like a voiceover on the track, and it was throwing me all the way off. I tagged you in a recruit that's on Bama's radar. Jaquez Wilkes, 6'4", 220 linebacker. Huh. Let me go look. Let's see, Dwight. Let's see. Now, is this an actual recruit, or is this like one of your damn cousins that you just want me to try to give him some highlights? I'm just messing around. Good size. Yeah, it's a great size. I mean, especially at middle linebacker, but I need to see some official measurements. We know how high school is, man. Matter of fact, they just were not even just high school. They're talking about LT Overton. I guess he was listed like 6'5", and then his most recent measurements were like 6'2" and some change. I'll say this though, I don't think that might be. I mean, they must have like literally smushed his head down, because what they do when they try to get that official height, your little heels against the wall, and they put that like measuring thing, whatever you call it, like on your head, and they're going to try to like smush you, but you can't let them, because it's not accurate. Like when they try to do that crap to me, like my neck would be like this. I'm like, I don't walk around like this, man. I stand up straight. So I don't know if he just was victim of bad posture or what. Granted, 6'5", yeah, he's probably not accurately 6'5", but being shy of 6'3", I mean, like I've stood next to LT a number of times. I feel like he's at least my height. And I was 6'3" 3/8. So like borderline 6'4". I don't know where those measurements came from. Q06, what's up from PCB? Were you on vacation? I thought you just came from Mexico, man. You got it made. You just stay on vacation, man. Plays middle linebacker and running back. Oh, we might have a Derrick Henry 2.0, but let me be careful with the comparison stuff. Let's not get it. I'm just playing. Kenji, what's going on? Carson, what's up, man? Somebody mad? No.
And potentially fate.
Shouldn't be. I hope nobody's mad. I don't have it. Well, I guess we always can find reasons to be mad, but it's not worth it, man. I'm trying to work on not giving attention to negativity. What happened to our thing? Let's see. Oh, yeah, Tate and Kawa.
Tide 100.9.
Plays for a real small school, so competition might not be all that. We'll pull it up. Let me click on it. I had to make sure. Hey, listen,
John Ty.
you'd be shocked, man. You know how many people go, "Oh, you got to check this guy out, man. He's blah blah blah," and you find out it's like their nephew. The dude has like no anything. They're like trying to get you to show coaches at Alabama his tape. Like, bro, come on, man. And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. All right, let's dive into this thing, shall we? Where should we start, right? It's always the biggest question, Chase, because we've always got so many different avenues. Should we start with the recruiting? Should we start with the NIL side of things? Should we start with the actual team side of things? I guess I'll start with some quick little news in notes because this came out literally like right after we got off of air. We officially know who will be attending Media Day representing the University of Alabama, and this could be pointing us into the direction of the conversation that we had yesterday regarding the captains or the leadership, at least. Matter of fact, first comment, somebody saying the captains, right? So I think this would kind of maybe hint at who could be the captains. Now, I don't know if this officially has them, I guess, as a captain. I guess we probably have to ask somebody up there. But, Chase, we were pretty close. Now, the substitutes that we threw in are on there, but my official list, I had Brailsford and Keon Sabb, then maybe like a Ty Simpson. Well, we're seeing Caden Proctor, who I said I definitely could see him being one, if not Brailsford. And then I think several of you guys mentioned Tim Keenan. So looks like that could be the case. It looks like that could be your group of captains. Plus, obviously, I'd imagine there'd be one more, like there always has been. And if that's the case, I feel like you got to go quarterback. I mean, listen, you don't have to because, you know, when I was voted captain in 2018, we didn't have a quarterback as captain, but we also had a young quarterback. Tua was a sophomore that year. Not that he couldn't have been voted captain, but it's just, you know, as a sophomore, it just wasn't as common. With Ty being of age, obviously he's in an active quarterback battle. To be fair, I mean, the way I think about this, Chase, I mean, it would be awkward if like you're okay, like a fourth year guy like Ty gets voted captain, then for whatever reason he's not the starter. He allegedly is the starter as of now, according to Ryan Grubb. Everybody, you know, I think understands and believes that he is the guy to beat for the job. But it is kind of interesting that they didn't send him to Media Day. But I guess if he's actively in a competition, maybe they don't want to send the wrong signal to maybe the other quarterbacks competing. I don't know, Chase. I mean, I guess maybe I probably have a little bit better idea of it than you, but I'll ask you your opinion. Do you think it's kind of interesting that they're not sending Ty Simpson to Media Day? Nothing to it, or what are your thoughts on that?
Kind of split on it, Christian. I think people are pretty set that Ty is going to be the starting quarterback, but maybe the questions that were going to be asked to Ty, you know, Alabama just didn't want answers to. Maybe just kind of focusing on the players that are like the starters for real. Because some of the SEC teams are not even bringing their quarterbacks. Like I think Tennessee isn't bringing a quarterback.
Yeah, that one makes a little more sense though, because I mean, to be fair, their guy. I mean, Nico left, and then they brought in that transfer. So I will say, probably would have been hard for that guy to just immediately jump into Media Day when he just got to Tennessee. Not saying he doesn't know enough, but you know what I mean. Like he's still kind of getting used to the new place as well. But what other schools did you mention didn't bring a quarterback? I mean, I'd imagine if you go down the list, I mean, South Carolina's obviously bringing Lenore's. Lagway from Florida is obviously going. Who else? Vanderbilt's definitely sending Pavia. Anybody who has a returning starter, I mean, they're going to be there. But is there anybody with a new starter that was sent? Do you have the list, Chase, by chance?
I can pull it up really quickly.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, did Auburn send what's his name? The dude that just transferred there?
Jackson Arnold? Yeah, they did.
I mean, but if you're paying a guy millions, right? I mean, I guess he is the starter. I mean, we're not going to sit there and act like, oh, it's a competition. I mean, in the NFL, maybe, yeah. I mean, you see the Giants, they go pay Jameis some money. They go pay, you know, Russell Wilson, but, you know, they're paying for a backup quarterback. That's one thing. You're not doing that in college football. At least not paying that much money. I guess what SEC Media Days 2025. What would you say? Like, I don't know, attendees. I'm just curious. I don't know. I mean, again, it really doesn't matter. And don't think I'm over here trying to stir the pot. I genuinely was just curious, and I don't know what you guys think about that. I mean, to me, when you look at the guys they sent, Deontay Lawson makes sense. Captain last year, leader of the defense, been playing here for a number of years now. I mean, no brainer. Caden Proctor, really, again, that's why I threw out either him or Brailsford. I mean, if you look at the offensive side of the football, like let's just go down the list. I mean, who else would they have really considered? Starting with the receiver room, Ryan Williams, younger guy, right? He'll probably be not probably he will be sent next year. Jeremy Bernard, newer face, right? I wouldn't, think they would have sent him. Obviously, any other guys in that room, I don't think would have been sent. Tight end, nobody in that room that would have made sense. Offensive line, Brailsford or Proctor, right? Proctor's been here, 3 years now. Took a quick little vacation, but came right back. And he's been 3-year starter. Makes sense, right? And really, I mean, maybe a Jam Miller, maybe Chase. I would have maybe considered. Other than that, you look at the quarterback position again. The only one in that room would have been Ty. And yeah, I guess they didn't. I don't know. They rolled with Proctor because then the other one, Tim Keene, you look at him, similar to Deontay Lawson. I mean, played a lot of has played a lot of football here, has been a leader for that defense, for that team. You hear him talk all the time, right? He's a great representative. We've had him on the show, man. Really impressive young man. So again, we're not like over here trying to like criticize who they sent. I was just genuinely curious, like when was the last time maybe we didn't necessarily send a quarterback. And I'm trying to think, I guess probably back that same year I'm referring to, 2018 when I was a captain, because I know I didn't go, but I'm trying to think of who went that year. But I think it was like Damian. Let's see, 2018 SEC. Wait, now I'm getting confused. Would it have been 2018 or not? It always gets, yeah, it would have been 2018. SEC Media Day, Alabama. Let's see. Let me know if you find that list, Chase, if you find that list of who was it? I guess all the attendees. For us in 2018, did we send? I don't think we sent a quarterback. Did I skip over Alabama? Where is Alabama at? Oh, that was on. Wait, hold on. Maybe I'm just rushing through this. Am I tripping? How do they not have Alabama on this list? Wait. Okay, here we are. Damian, Anthony, and Ross. So we didn't send a quarterback then. Obviously, it's not a big deal. I just genuinely was curious. So we didn't send one then. Other than that, I'm sure we probably have been sending one. Anyway, so there you go. That's who's going to be attending SEC Media Day. You guys can check them out. July 16th is a week from today. So a week from today, you'll be able to hear from them, Kalen DeBoer, discussing their outlook on the 2025 season and all that good stuff. So that is that. That being said, we got to go ahead and hit a quick timeout. Oh, you did send this in the chat. Sorry, Chase. I didn't even see that. So Alabama, Missouri, A&M, Tennessee, and Kentucky are the only SEC teams not bringing a quarterback. Missouri, wait. I'm not going to bore you guys. I'll look at it during the break. Let's take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll dive into the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We already got you guys lining up. Plus, we got to get into the must-haves for Alabama 2025. This season, we'll look at that, plus a number of other things. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. We got to hear from a little bit more from Xavier Griffin. I think he did a quick little, not podcast, but a little video interview with the news station and discussed his recruitment, things like that. And one of the questions that I was curious about was kind of what they were telling him about what they saw, in his future here. My prediction was they mentioned a lot about Jahad Campbell and how they could utilize him in a similar fashion. Well, just a little spoiler. It's pretty much along the lines of that. So we'll hear from that probably in a little bit as well. But first, quick timeout. We'll be right back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Hi, I'm Marty Lyons. When I come to Taco Casa, I always order the 2 and 2.
Missouri, A&M. A&M, I mean, Missouri quarterback Bo. Did he transfer from somewhere, Carson? Jamie, what's up, man? Yeah, Q. Yeah, I think Jeremy is the leader, but I mean, like, I don't know if I would have necessarily had him on my list to send him to SEC Media Day. At least over a guy like, I mean, to me, like, you know, Proctor being here 3 years, starting 3 years. That makes sense. Hell, it really doesn't matter. Honestly, it really doesn't matter. I just was curious. Yeah, he transferred. Okay, yeah. I was about to say, matter of fact, I think speaking of him, he's represented by CJ Mosley's new agency, matter of fact. That's why his name sounded familiar. He's one of the guys that signed with CJ Mosley's group. But A&M though, I mean, it's that athletic dude that played some last year, but is he technically in a quarterback battle, or did they name him a starter? I haven't really looked too much into that. Who are the other ones? Oh, Tennessee, we already talked about that. In Kentucky, I don't remember who Kentucky's got at quarterback right now. Probably a battle, I'm assuming. Yeah, Marcel Reed. Appreciate it. Dr. Crystal, what's going on? Glad to have you in here. Yeah, Marcel Reed. Yeah, that's what I figured. I mean, I figured he's the starter. I didn't know if they just didn't name him starter or what. Like I said, I mean, to be fair, SEC Media Days, I mean, it really is just a talking competition, right? I mean, it doesn't really mean anything crazy. It just kind of, you know, gets the excitement for the year, kind of gives an update on where things stand. I mean, really not a whole bunch changes from, I mean, think about it. We just heard a whole bunch during the spring. Only thing that's really gone on, yeah, you had that post-spring portal window. So I guess if there's been, you know, changes there, you might hear of that. Other than that, I mean, the coaches technically aren't even really around these guys like that. It's really just the players getting ready, doing their workouts, the 7-on-7s, you know, school, tape, all that stuff. That being said, there should be a lot of good talk coming from Media Day because of the whole new revenue thing.
Anyway, should contact Brian Hall.
And that's what I was talking about with like some of the stuff from the Big 12 coming out.
9611.
Which somebody said something
This
crazy.
is Miller's
I think it
Edge
was Texas Tech or something.
9.
And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. All right, let's go to the people. We said that's what we want to do. When you guys line up, we'll go straight to you. Then we'll get back on track. No worries. So let's do just that. 205-342-9904 is the number we got. First up, we got Pat. Pat, welcome in.
Hey, man, I don't want to talk about recruiting. I don't want to talk about who's going to media days. I want to talk about, do we have the coach and the personnel? Well, I believe we got the personnel, but do we have the coach and the scheme in order to stop Vanderbilt's option? And I guarantee you Gus Malzahn's going to have an option ready to go to do whatever kind of gimmick he can do to beat us in the first game. And I would bet LSU, after the whooping that we put on them last year, that LSU is going to have something in the works of a running quarterback that's going to have an option to pitch to a tailback. And LSU's got a good tailback. Do we have the horsepower in order to stop it? You're the Miller's Edge. You ought to have the answer to that question.
Come on now. You already know. We got the answer to any football question you have. That's what we do on this show, man. That's what separates us. But no, I'm just being funny. But here's the thing. I'll say LSU with Nussmeier, I don't see so much of that. But, I mean, you bring up a good point. Do we have the personnel? Absolutely. Do we have the coaching? I mean, look, if you're the defensive coordinator, if you're any type of coach, position coach, hell, even an analyst here, you damn sure better know how to stop a damn option team. I'm not saying it's easy, but you better know how to. I'll say this. I think last year, this is what happened. They had a game plan going into that game. They stuck with that game plan. but they failed to make adjustments. The game plan wasn't probably ideal for what they necessarily were seeing. Now, to be fair, the way Vanderbilt runs their option, it's not necessarily a traditional option-based attack. There's variations to it. It's, slightly different. They do some nuances there. And I'll give them credit. They do a really good job, executing that offense. But the biggest flaw that we had last year was we didn't execute what we designed. And then when we were failing to execute that, we failed to adjust. And that's just a fact. And I know for a fact there were not hardly any. We did end up making some adjustments. If you go back and watch, there were some slight tweaks and adjustments later in the game. But I feel like by that point, it was just a little too late. We failed to get off the field on third down. That was critical. And so I'll say this. Do we have the play? I mean, we damn sure have the people to do it. I mean, when you play an option type team like that, what does help is having a little bit more speed and athleticism on the field, right? You're defending a running quarterback. You're defending, running backs with the, options to get pitched. We saw a lot of the shovel pass. That play right there is discipline, right? You got to read your keys. And that was another thing. I think sometimes guys had bad eyes, weren't necessarily being the most disciplined. And I'm not saying, jumping off sides discipline. I'm saying discipline with what your job is. For example, let me walk you through as an outside linebacker. Our key was always, we called it the apex, the triangle. So if I did not have a tight end in front of me and I wasn't in a 6 technique, I'd be lined up in a 5 technique, a hand to foot 5 technique, and I'm reading that tackle. I'm reading through his shoulder, right, to the backfield. That way I can see. But even pre-snap, I'm aware of things, Pat. I'm looking at the location of the back. If the back is offset away from me, what kind of run can I get? A run to me, right? If the back is to my side, it's more than likely going to be run away. Why do I say that? Well, think about it. If you do the handoff and he's lined up to my side, that wouldn't make sense for them to hand him the ball, then him have to change direction, turn and run backwards towards me. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of little things that you can do as a football player pre-snap to have an idea on what's coming your way. That's step number 1. But 2, you got to read your keys. So I'm reading that tackle, Pat. If he blocks down, if I see him literally ball snap, he blocks down, I immediately turn my eyes and my attention to what's coming at me. He's not just going to – sometimes they will leave an edge guy unblocked. You do see that, and that's when you got to run the line. You got to close that gap. But to be fair, a lot of the time something's coming back, whether it's what we call a sniffer, which is a tight end, a U in the backfield. It could be whatever. And that's when you got to be disciplined, because when you're not and you start just chasing bait, you're out of position and you're giving up plays. And I think that happened a number of times. So I'll say this. I mean, in terms of the coaching side of things, they need to be better with adjustments, right? That's something I saw last year that wasn't as good as it should have been. And that's just a fact. But the good news is I think they learned a lot from last year. And now they've had a whole year, a whole offseason to go back and watch the tape. They can go back and watch Vanderbilt as many times as they need to. They can go back and watch Oklahoma. And they can say, look, we did this and it did not work. We could not stop this, X, Y, and Z. And it's not always going to be the same, Pat. Sometimes it could be a failure execution by the players. Sometimes it is by that lack of adjustment. Sometimes it's a bad play call, which you're never going to have a perfect play call. You're not a psychic. But the good news is I think these coaches are good coaches. And I think what they'll do is they'll go back, see what they did wrong, see what they need to clean up. And it should be much better. I mean, a lot of them, it's their first year coaching the SEC, first year doing a number of things, figuring everything out. So I definitely throw that into the equation. But, yeah, I think we should be much better when it comes to that, Pat. In terms of the personnel, though, I will say this. Interior defensive line definitely have more athleticism than we might have had. But on the edges, I don't know, like our Wolves, I feel like it's interesting. We got more athleticism on the interior right now, but on the outside, I don't feel like the guys we have at Wolf right now are as athletic. I mean, I'm only comparing like, Quay Russaw, hell, you even got, Latham playing Wolf right now versus like Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell. I feel like that group was a little bit more athletic than what we got. But are those guys athletic enough to stop these guys? Sure. But I do know that Latham was out there playing Wolf when we played Oklahoma. And there were a couple times that I felt like he might have just been it would have been better to have a little bit lighter, more athletic guy at that Wolf spot. So I think that will be important this year in terms of stopping this stuff. Make sure you have the right personnel, right athleticism on the field, and good discipline.
4 teams that are going to run options on us. And is this defense the best scheme in order to stop that running quarterback like that?
Yeah, so in terms of the scheme, Pat, so people, again, this is why I always encourage you guys, listen. And I'm not just saying, listen to me, because anybody that can really break it down like this, because it's more than just, we run a 4-2-5. That's literally surface level. Yes, we run a 4-2-5, but we have the ability, Pat, to get in and out of different defenses. We have the ability to change fronts, right? Different for like there's so many nuances. So to answer your question in terms of the scheme, you can get into a 3-4 with this defense if you want. We've seen it. They just call it a gator package, right? If they want to have a regular traditional 4-down front, you can do that. So yeah, this scheme has what it takes to stop that stuff. Why? Because it has the flexibility. And that's one thing that they do. They do a lot of different, things with their defense. Kane Womack does. He does a nice job of having a very versatile group, and that's why getting guys like we've seen in the recruiting that are versatile players is so critical for this defense. So to answer your question, yes, the scheme is fine, but the most important thing, Pat, is you narrow down what you're doing in these games. Like sometimes, man, it really boils down to you just got to simplify things, right? And just make guys aware that, hey, in this game, we got to have a quarterback player, right? You have to understand who is the quarterback player. Like when you're playing the option pad, that is the most important thing, is people having the responsibilities and executing that. Whether it's the defensive end and just a traditional, he's a quarterback player, or if you want to mix things up and have him crash on the dive and let the inside backer, he's the quarterback. Whatever your call or whatever your game plan is, you have to execute that, and the guys have to understand and know and do their job. That's what matters. But yes, the scheme can stop it without a doubt. It's just about sometimes not overcomplicating it. But I will say there is nothing wrong with sometimes mixing it up, and I think that is what can help throw things off. But before you start mixing things up, Pat, make sure, look, if we get into a base defense, this guy's a quarterback player, this guy's the dive player, this guy's a pitch player, and know your assignment and understand it and do it. But then that's the next step when I'm getting into like mixing it up and adjusting things like, hey, we're going to have this guy, we're going to have a call where, we're going to send him to crash down. We're going to change the lookup. That way we cause some confusion. He's going to crash down on that dive real hard, forcing that quarterback to immediately pull it. But we know we're sending somebody straight at the quarterback aggressively because we know we're forcing the quarterback to pull the ball. Now, I know I'm talking really fast. I'm saying a whole bunch of stuff, so hopefully it's not too much.
I got you there. But are you looking to see a whole lot more out of Keon Keeley? I am.
Yeah, so I'll say this, man. I mean, you got a lot of depth, Pat. You've got LT Overton. You bring in Kelby Collins from Florida. You got Jordan Renaud, and you've got Keon Keeley. I will say this. I think even with the room or a position that has that much depth, Pat, I think there's ways to get all these guys some reps, right? Whether Keon's in on some more, passing type situations. Because I mean, we know seeing him come out of high school, he's been had that ability. He's always had pass rush ability. He's put on some weight. He's gotten bigger. He's gotten stronger, and I'm sure he's definitely kind of polished his game. I feel like he's getting to the point where he's going to force them to find ways to get him on the football field with his ability. So to answer your question, yes, I'm expecting more from him. I mean, how much more? It's to be determined, knowing that he's got other guys in front of him right now. But I'd imagine, man, after seeing them trying to get him more and more reps this spring, they're trying to find ways to get him on the football field because they know the talent's there, man. They just got to continue to bring it out of him. And really, I'll say this, man, knowing him personally, he would tell you this. He just got to be more confident in himself, man. The more confident he is in himself, the more he, confident he is in, the game plan, the system, what he's doing. Granted, he just had to change positions. That's going to allow him to play much faster, much more relaxed, and really just, be a football player, naturally read and react and go make plays. So, yes, I'm expecting more from him going into his third year, which is crazy to think about, man. I mean, he's already going on year 3 here, but he's got a lot of potential, and I'm expecting a lot from him.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, Pat.
And
thank you, man. I feel like I was on a game show. I felt like I was on a game show, Pat. You kept throwing them at me, man. I was like, all right, boom, boom, boom. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, hey, that answered a lot of questions for a lot of people. Because I guarantee you there's other people thinking the same way that I'm thinking about, that we're going to see it in the first game. I guarantee you Gus Malzahn's going to have, but he saw how 2 people beat us, and I guarantee you that he's going to be studying that hard.
Oh no, you're 1,000% right. I mean, when you got a quarterback like that who's 5'9" and got wheels, little Kyler Murray-esque, right? Like the Temu version of Kyler Murray. You bring Gus Malzahn in to work with them, man. Yeah, you can believe that they are going to try to definitely attack us in that fashion. They're going to turn on the Vanderbilt tape. They're going to turn on the Oklahoma tape, and they're going to look at ways that they can attack us that we might have struggled last year. And that's why it's so important that we go back and clean up all those things and issues from last year and be a lot better at it. Because, yeah, you're right. Game one, we're definitely going to see a lot of that type of action from Florida State's offense. And we got to be ready for it, man. Got to be ready for it. Good stuff, Matt. I appreciate you, brother. Good deal. All right, we got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we keep on rolling. Plus, we got us a little guest that just popped up. Somebody you guys are familiar with. Pastor Payne is also on here. We'll get him locked and loaded. When we come back after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yo, can you hear us?
What's happening?
Dang, he got it set now. Chase, look at him. Look at him tap the mic like so confidently. Look at him, Chase. He thought he
and
did.
I'm sitting right here in the middle of Starbucks.
Miller Starbucks. Yeah, you might as well invest in Starbucks as much as you're there. I was going to get me some Starbucks. It dropped about $78 a month ago. It's back up to like 95. It does that, man. It rides its waves. Because it rides a wave, man. I'll show you. It goes from it dropped like 80, high 70s, go back up around 100. So I was going to get some and ride it back up, but I was like, wait. Of course, it's slowly starting to ride
Chase
up.
on here?
Yeah, he's behind the scenes. He can talk. Mike, what's going on? Carson, exactly. Discipline,
Hi, Corey.
man.
What's up, Corey? Glad to hear from you today, Corey.
What are you talking about, man?
Chase, what's up, buddy? Chase can't hear me.
No, he can hear you, but he normally types it. Chase, can you talk without being on air?
Better days coming. Mercy, mercy.
Maybe he's worried. Oh, wait, hold on. I had a mute. Wait, say something, Chase.
Visit ChoctawIndianFair.com and like us on Facebook.
Hope to see you there. Has to be a lot to get. Are you receiving unemployment?
Chase ass be looking at his phone or something.
I think Chase went to the bathroom.
Chase, I'll be talking to Chase half the time. His ass be.
Mercy, mercy me.
Mike says, is it better to be more athletic than the other team or to have a better scheme? Hell, both. I mean, it really all depends, Mike. I mean, all seriousness. QD was good. Of course, QD always shows up when you're
around the world.
How you magically know that
I don't even know how to. I'm trying to respond, but I can see the messages. Let me write.
To answer your question, Mike, I mean, it's always going to be different. I mean, really, it starts with your personnel, right? I mean, how you recruit, what type of players you try to bring in. But say when you're matched up with somebody, I mean, hell, I've seen teams that are more athletic. They got a lot of speed, they got a lot of athleticism, but at the same time, if the coaching's not there, they're undisciplined, they don't have the scheme, it's kind of useless, right? You went back and watched OU game.
100.9.
Stay away from that, QD, man. Enjoy your summer, brother. And welcome back into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Chase got these. First, Chase had sad music playing. And I guess he sees that you're hanging out in Starbucks. So he played what sounded like an Apple commercial song. That song came straight from an Apple commercial. I'm convinced. Anyway, welcome back in. We just got done talking to Pat. A lot of good conversation with Pat, man. We talked about a number of things. And Pat brought up a good point. You look at Florida State, you look at old Tommy boy, not two-time Tommy that I think is, as a matter of fact, hanging out on the phone lines. We'll get him on here in a second. But Tommy from Florida State, I forgot his last name, Castellano, whatever. But you look at him, pairing him up with
Transfer from Boston College, right?
Yep, transfer from Boston College. You pair him up with Gus Malzahn, a guy that has experience, working with, quarterbacks that have dual threat ability. So you can only imagine, like Pat mentioned, that they're probably going to be looking at that Vandy tape, that OU tape, and he had some good questions about stopping that. Would you agree with what I was saying? I think you caught most of what I said, but when it comes to stopping the option, first and foremost, man, we can talk about scheme, we could talk about personnel, but I think the number one component is discipline. Who's the quarterback player? Who's the dive player? Who's the pitch player? And then when you do get those foundations, that foundation set, and you can, execute that without a problem, then you start mixing it up, throwing different things at them. Would you agree with that? Because look, you've got experience playing against the option. It used to be a lot more prominent in your time, right? What was y'all's philosophy when y'all played option-based teams?
Yeah, it's discipline. We like to call it. It's the most assignment-focused football that you can play because everybody has an assignment. Whether your guys on the inside, the defensive line, sometimes even the inside linebacker is going to take away the dive. Your defensive end now or your edge guy may have a quarterback. Sometimes that guy may have the pitch, just depending on what you're doing up front. And then you have your cornerbacks, your safety type guys. Sometimes will come and take pitch, sometimes as well. Or the most important player in that scheme to me is the alley player. And that's the safety. That might be a spur, whatever you want to call him. I don't know, Wolf or whatever they call him in Husky in Alabama scheme. So that guy that runs the alley, right? That guy that comes down that open alley to kind of take away quarterback. If the defensive end edge guy doesn't do it, he comes in and makes the play, or he scrapes on the outside. Even if he pitches the ball, now he's that guy got to fill that wide alley and go and be able to make the play as the force guy turns it back inside. So when you play the option, it's all about discipline, doing your job. You can't, play crazy football. The most important thing, you have to play with your eyes, right? You have to play with your eyes. Believe with what you see. If you play with bad eyes, you're going to make a mistake. And as you know, when you play an option team, they don't have to be the biggest or the fastest. They just depend on you making a mistake, you becoming undisciplined and making that one mistake, and then they take them to his house for a touchdown. So, I always hated it. I mean, my offense in high school was a triple option, right? It's an old wishbone, fullback, two halfbacks. We break the bone, so to speak, and then we motion back. When you play teams like, the Citadel back when you was there at the Alabama, you play these Southern Conference teams, that's what they do. Well, now you got a different variation of that option. You don't have the wishbone anymore. You go and use the spread offenses, right? And they just spread you out, make you defend the entire football field. And now they use receivers. They use slot receivers as a back. And they come in motion and they show up motion. They go and run the pitch. They run the option out the shotgun. With the one back, you still run the dive. It's the same principles, with the one back and the shotgun. Or, you run the dive play, quarterback can keep, quarterback can pitch, they'll do a reverse off of that. They just do different things. So I'll just say this, it's one of the most difficult offenses to stop. That's why you see, teams like Army and Navy and these teams like every single year always finish in the top in the country in rushing the football because, it's hard to stop. You got these little migrant, I shouldn't say that word now.
Oh, migrant, Jesus God.
Those little offensive linemen, people like that trying to Lord forgive me.
No.
It's in my brain now, migrant.
No, you're good. I get what you're trying to. I get what you're trying to describe.
It's you got little undersized linemen that can't physically dominate the box, so they make you, play cut blocks, right? And as a defender, this when you play cut blocks, what you got to do, you got to play off that cut block. And what happens though, a lot of guys have bad eyes. They're staring in the backfield. They're looking at the back, see what the quarterback's doing, what the back is doing, looking what the motion guy's doing. And then when they do that, they take their eyes off the defender. We are always taught to play a cut block. You got to get your eyes on that little small undersized lineman, hand on the head, hand on the shoulder, give some ground and get off that block. You're going to make the play. As soon as you take your eye off that lineman, guess what happens? You're cut. You're on the ground and you can't play football on the ground. So that's what's going to happen when you're talking about playing a spread option. is you get guys that are undisciplined, guys that have bad eyes, and therefore they can't play good football when facing an option team. So, yeah, I agree with you. It is discipline, but it's hard. You hate it because as a defender, we are taught to attack all the time. Attack, attack, attack. Defensively, when you play an option team, you have to play the game a little bit slower, right? A little bit more methodical so that you can play better with your eyes.
No doubt about it. You're right. I wish we could pull up the tape without worrying about the YouTube. I mean, here's a screenshot, though. I mean, you got Vanderbilt right here. And obviously, radio listeners can't see this. But if you ever want to come and watch and see the visuals, I'm going to detail it as good as possible and as clear as possible. That way you guys can kind of imagine it while you might be driving. Make sure you guys are focused on the road. But, I mean, here, I mean, you get a look from Vanderbilt. And in this sequence, really, you can just see. I mean, we're out of position. I can't play the play. But up top, you got LT Overton, who would be the quarterback player in this sense. Now, I'm not too sure exactly what defense they're playing here. Kind of an interesting look, if you ask me, because he's lined up in what we would call damn near a 9 technique, way outside, right? So you got a big opening here with the C gap. And really, if you look what ends up happening with this play, I know I had to jump ahead and you can't really see, but you got this huge hole, right? Which I'm assuming, because what happens is Jihad ends up flowing on this play. The back ends up cutting it right through there. I mean, it looks like, you know, the sea that Moses just parted, right? So that would be an example right there of probably poor eye discipline, definitely a bust. And clearly, they're not on the same page. But even if you just start pre-snap, man, I'll be honest with you. It looked like we were kind of beat from the jump, even pre-snap, just how we're aligned right here. Just way too much space, in my opinion. Now, granted, I'm sure guys are supposed to be plugging and filling. Clearly, that didn't happen because what happens was you see Tim Smith and Jihad theoretically in the same gap. Other guys just running upfield. On a running play, I mean, there's no reason Quay Russaw should be 5 yards upfield, and they're running the football. You see what I'm saying? So, like, those are the type of things that popped up last year, especially in these games, that clearly led to these big explosive plays, failure to get off the field. I mean, and guys, and then when I talk about pre-snap stuff, this is what I'm talking about. These are little details that I just feel like at times were overlooked last year. This needs to be cleaned up on. Look at the down and distance. It's 2nd and 1, right?
Can you blow that up any way you can?
Yeah. So the likelihood of look, 2nd and 1, I mean, you should be thinking run play, right? Especially against a team like this. It's 2nd and 1 right here, and you see the result, right? I wish I could just play it all the way through. But I'm just telling you right now what happened. You got guys upfield. You got guys that are in the same gap. Literally, so who was lined up here? I don't know if that's – I can't tell the numbers.
Whoever it is, that's your alley guy right there.
It's
that's
a DB,
player,
right.
If you're on YouTube, you can see that guy.
He's
player.
nowhere to be found.
No,
he's nowhere to be found. And like I said, Jihad ends up in the same gap as Tim Smith. That's why when you talk about, oh, do we have the personnel? Do we have the scheme? That's not the problem. It's these types of issues that showed up. The eye discipline, the what we called mental errors, bust, whatever the term, it's all the same thing. You know, depending on the coach, the verbiage difference. That's what you see there. So that needs to be better, and that needs to be cleaned up before anything else. And like I said, anytime you see guys that are running way upfield, man, especially on 2nd and 1, man, you got to think. You got to think better as a football player, man. Pre-snap, you can help yourself out so much, man. And so I think if they can evolve in some of those ways, I think that.
But that's why a team like Vanderbilt can play with. You know, you got an athletic quarterback that, you know, you got guys that can run, but it's not because of their talent, really. It's because Alabama made those crazy mistakes. I mean, you know, when I'm looking at that number 4 right here, he's way up the field. He blocks himself.
Yeah,
right?
that's why I'm like, what key is he reading?
Because, I don't know. He's playing with bad eye. He's just jetting up the field. But you can't do this. Now, when you see the play, let it run, Christian.
I can't.
Okay. Look, he's way up the field. He's thinking, I'm going to get a sack. Right, he's way upfield and just totally out of rhythm, out of play right here, out of the play. So you got to play with great discipline, man. I mean, and that's why teams like Vanderbilt, Southern Conference football teams, undersized football teams can play with guys like Alabama when they're not as talented. That's why you have a scheme like that. When you have a trickeration football scheme, that tells me you don't have the ability or the talent or the speed or the size to be able to compete mano a mano with those guys.
Yeah. That's what we used to always see when teams knew they couldn't line up toe-to-toe with us. They always try to pull out tricks and gimmicks and stuff like that. So we got to hit this top of the hour break. When we come back, we keep on rolling. We're doing a little bit of film study on this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Now, again, if you guys want to see what we're talking about, check us out on YouTube at the Miller's Edge, live on Facebook on Tide 100.9's page as well. If you're listening via radio, that's awesome too. We're trying our best to detail it. That way you guys can envision this. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Quick timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I wish I could just let these run without having to worry about all that copyright stuff. But again, all this is, man, you look like and I'm telling you, Vanderbilt does a good job with it, man. They send a guy, jet motion, is getting the eyes of people. But again, like right here, what happens is, and I told y'all the key, right? If you're at the edge spot and you got this tackle, number one, pre-snap, you should see this guy. This guy, look at his stance, right? He's already leaning in his stance. I mean, I'd argue that he's premeditated about to block down, right? See the tip of his shoulder? You can sense his shoulder, right? Maybe you guys don't see it from this angle, but I'm just telling you, man, that shoulder's dipped. His body weight is leaning inside. He's about to block down. So you see, it looks like he's either keying the ball or what. I don't know what they're teaching them, but we keyed the tackle. And so I would see that. I'm expecting him to block down. Like I told you, what's the next step? We transfer our eyes inside. You know this guy's about to come back. Who ends up coming back? The sniffer, right? The tight end. So the way this should have been played, he should not be running up the field. It's 2nd and 1. There's no keys telling him to run up the field. His tackle blocked down, and he's got a tight end coming back at him. Cardinal sin. He should immediately transfer his eyes, and he should go blow that dude's ass up. He should have met his ass right there in that hole and blew him up. Could have even blew him into that running back, right? Because really that back could have hit right here. That back could have hit right here. Tim did not get enough knockback. I mean, I know Jihad sitting right there. You do have Keon Sabb. He would have met him, but still what I'm getting at is there shouldn't even been that hole should have been closed by him just naturally doing his job. And then here, like I said, without really seeing how everything else played out, I would assume that Jihad or either whoever that DB was up here, they're wrong. I would assume on this probably was Jihad right here. But that was another thing from last year. I feel like the linebackers at times had bad eyes. Where did Deontay end up? So he was plugging. So he ended up plugging what looks like the A gap. Yeah, so that's definitely, I would say, probably Jihad right there. Oh, we're already coming back. And welcome back into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. We got a little film study, right? Film is in session. Student class, whatever you want to call it, is in session. We're teaching y'all some football knowledge right here. You ain't going to get this anywhere else. I can guarantee you that. I wish we could let the clips just run. I'd get my laser and prop my feet up and chew on some ice like coaches do. But we can't do that. But hope you guys are learning a little bit. But again, we're looking at Vanderbilt right now. Pat brought it up when he called. He was talking about how are we going to be able to stop some of these other teams moving forward, because they're going to watch this tape and they're going to take away, plays from this, because it's a copycat league. That's what everybody does. They go and they watch what everybody else does to have success, especially against certain teams. Then they go and try to implement that themselves. Florida State's got the personnel at quarterback to do it, so best believe we'll see some of it. So that's why we're talking about it. That being said, we do need to go to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. I told you guys, we want to go to the people as much as possible, so I don't want to leave you guys waiting too long. We got Tommy up next. Not Tommy Castellano from Florida State, who we were talking about. We got two-time Tommy on the phone lines. Tommy, welcome in.
Well, thank you. I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or an insult. I mean, I really can't figure it out, you know. I'm trying to figure out the X's and O's I've been talking about, and you tell me a quarterback from Florida State. I don't know. I should be just really upset with you.
You got the same name, right? Tommy and Tommy. So, I mean, it wouldn't be bad if you look. Obviously, you would.
No. You got that wrong. He is two-time Tommy, and so Tommy Castellano, Plumblino, whatever the name of the dude in Florida State, they different. Tommy is all by he's in a group or a category all by himself as two-time Tommy from Romulus, Alabama. Tommy. What's up, Tommy?
I'm a legend. I'm a legend in my own mind.
In your own mind. You and your brother.
You are a legend,
tag team legends.
You're a legend,
in
brother.
my own mind. Yeah. I think Matt brought up a good point, but don't you think, really, we're going to take an extra day or two of practice and concentrate more on Florida State because it was the first game of the season? Let me tell you, that bowl game left a nasty taste in everybody's mouth if you're an Alabama fan. I think they're going to be focused on, we know about Monzon. We've seen him before. And the LSU Vanderbilt game, I know the Vanderbilt quarterback is a hot commodity, but they're going to be in Tuscaloosa. Nussmeier is not going to run the option or the triple option because he will get killed before he plays Alabama. He's more of a pass type thing. Does he have ability to run and pick up? Oh, yes. They got him listed as a hypertrophic candidate. He got the ability. He got the thing. The key to stopping the triple option, I'm 100 years old. I remember the wishbone, is to slow them up on the line of scrimmage or string them out and make the quarterback keep the ball, and then you punish him and get him in 3rd and long, like 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 7. Don't be no 3rd and 1 or like you said, 2nd and 1. You make him, it's a methodical. It's not going to be, you're going to have to know your keys, as you say, and you're going to have to play fundamental, smart football.
Mm-hmm.
And we did not play that against Vanderbilt last year at all. We were really, technique was off of that game. Until we scored them 7 points too. And we did some dumb things on offense, but we got to be fundamental sound. And both teams in the first game got to prove something. Florida State is 2-10 last year. Alabama had a 9-4, and everybody saying they need to run off our football coach. Some of these dumb dollars I've heard the last few days. I'm not going to name names, but my Lord.
Wait, you said you got people trying to run off coaches in the last few days?
Oh, yeah. You should listen to Follow yesterday. I do not want to say the person's name because
no, you don't have to. No, I'm just confused because I thought everybody was just celebrating all the recruits. I'm just confused, man.
Oh.
What happened?
Kristen, I think if you had a troll on your show and you put him in place, a lot of people did, and he don't talk about. Ryan gets the little trolls. You and Tori and Whipping them. I'm going to get in trouble with Ryan, probably listen. They let these little trolls talk, and really, it's insulting for the people who really enjoy Alabama football or the game of football or SEC football, which I'm a fan of. I have loved it all my life.
Yeah, we don't. I'll be honest. I don't have time for the nonsense, man. As you guys can see today, man, we're breaking down some tape. Well, I guess little pictures of tape, but we're talking ball because look, that's what we want to do on this show. I don't have time to talk all this politics and trolls. That's why you know how we do, man. I try to be respectful,
I'm
even
learning
if somebody
football.
disagrees. Even if somebody disagrees, I don't mind you calling in on the show. Like that's I welcome debate, especially we got people crying about a take that I have. Don't cry about it. Call in and talk to me about it. Tell me about it. I don't mind that. But
Well,
when people start acting like ridiculous like that, yeah, no, you know how we do. Next,
I
cut them
know.
off. We
well,
take
I'm not
we
reading
take the
it.
privilege away from them.
It's a privilege. Yes. Thank you. It's a privilege. I can't say the word I'm talking
Nah, that's all
about.
good. I got you. Privilege. In Spanish, decimos privilegio. But yeah, just stick with privilege.
Yeah,
Don't try to say it in Spanish. Privilegio.
Well, I'm gonna get you straight for me, okay? It's say in English and Spanish for me. So I mean, I'm learning about X and O, and you can point out because y'all both play the game at a higher level than I can imagine. Pro, college, you know the X and O. You win the national championship, your dad won the Super Bowl. You've been there. You know the concept of the game. And that's what I want to learn because I enjoy the game.
Well, you
need
need to upgrade and get on YouTube one of these days, Tommy. We
Well,
encourage everybody listen
am
via radio too. But I'm saying when we're doing these breakdowns, that way you can see too. Because I know we're talking about this. It's probably a little difficult to keep up with everything without seeing the visual. So again, I'm not discouraging people from listening to the radio because again, we always encourage tune in Tide 100.9. We love that. But if you guys want to be able to see it, you can do both. You can see it on the stream, or you can always go back and watch it too. By the way.
Well, listen. Let me interject something real quick, Tom. First of all, I've been doing sports talk radio for a long time. Probably since I retired, 2001. One thing about sports talk radio, you talk about other shows, you always have the cast of characters, right? You're going to always have people that call in and they don't seem to probably work, or they call every show. They offer their opinion. They're I like to call them the French 10. I mean, it's like 10% of people that really of a fan base that actually call in the shows, right? But they are very loud because they get on the air and they offer their sentiments and opinions, and that really most of the time don't make sense. But they seem mild, right? And they frustrate you sometimes. And they talk about all kinds of stuff. You just kind of, and I told my son this before, those types of people, you have to just don't pay them any attention. Know who you are, do what you do, be the best at what you do, enjoy it like you say you do, and move on. I mean, because that's what they're trying to do. And then a lot of time hosts to let them come on the show to stir the pot, to get reaction. Everything now is about reaction. You know that. It's about clicks. It's about how many views and clicks and likes and blah, 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 blah. It ain't about content anymore. It's about just, being stupid. People think I do that. I don't really do that for that. I do it just to have insight and make people think. And I try to have, an educational opinion about what I say, based on what I see and based on my history and my career. So not just to have a bunch of idiots call in and say stupid stuff. You know what I mean? So you are two-time Tommy. You are relevant. You are a legend of Alabama football. You've been around. You've seen games. I love listening to your historical perspectives and views because I don't have that. See, that's the thing. Christian and I have the play on the field, that level, the high level, but we don't know the fan base level because we've never been a fan like that, right? I tell you all the time, I've never been I don't know your level of being a fan of a team and the history of a team. And I tell people in South Carolina, like, I don't know that. Like, I know the eras that I played, maybe, the 4 years before when I was watching football or when I left and I, kept up with it doing radio and TV, but I don't know the years past. Like, people ask me, do you know this guy and heard of this? And I'd be like, nah, I never heard of him. Well, here's a Gamecock and blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't know that because I don't pay enough attention to it now as far as going back and reading about it. So your perspective is you can give us education based on, remember how you bring up games all the time? That stuff to me, it's pretty cool because I don't know. So you bring a level of perspective to the show that we don't have, and that's a good thing if that makes sense.
But I'm glad to hear that because, people sometimes say, well, Corey's too critical. I think he got to be critical. He played the football game. He knows more about it. I love his express. Like, I don't like how he talks about Alabama. He said the weakness. I agree with the weakness. I said, defensive line got to get tougher. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, this thing, and that kicking game, I say, I mean, there's a lot of weakness, but, I don't know. I just don't want to be a drag on the show, and I just really hope I bring something because I don't want to sound like you might, neither one of you probably won't remember this. I know Christian won't. You ever watch the Bo Winkle cartoon show?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I know of it.
Bo Winkle, he was the man.
Well, yeah, but he had, he was an animal. Yeah, they had animals, and they had a guy called Mr. Peabody. He was a dog. He was a genius. He was a Mr. Know-it-all. Well, at times, I don't want to sound like that, but I just like to remember the people. Like, I kind of made me rag you a little bit, Christian, like when you said, I don't know nothing about the 2 block punts in Alabama overseas. I went, what? I was shocked that you played 4 years and they didn't talk about it. I mean, that was ripped in my soul. My heart was ripped out that day.
Tom, I just turned 29. I just turned 29.
I know. I mean,
you've been grace.
Oh, yeah, you.
Don't feel bad. I don't even know our fight song. All I know to do is to hold this little thing up at the end, when they do that for Carolina. That's all I know. I'll be saying the word.
I'm glad you explained how you
Carolina and sing the high praise.
Well, that's why I'm glad you explained it how you explained it, because you're right. I mean, just respectfully, as a player, man, we're so consumed with, our day-to-day life as a player, learning the scheme, learning our playbook that week, learning the game plan that week, that we really just. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was so locked in on that. I'm like him. I didn't know hardly half of all this stuff, like history and stuff, because we're focused on something totally different our whole life, pretty much. But no, you bring a lot to the table, Tommy. We appreciate that. We appreciate you as always, brother.
All love, good time. All love. Good talking to you, man. I'm glad you back. Sound like you're back on your good health and you're doing good, man. So blessings to you and your brother. Shout y'all out. Appreciate you, praying for you, and stay well, my friend.
You too. I appreciate everything you've done for us too. So, I appreciate, man.
All right,
y'all be good.
Appreciate you, Tommy. All right, we got to hit time out. We come back. We keep on rolling. 205-342-9904 is the number to the program if you guys want to get in on the conversation. Got a few things we're going to get to in a minute. But next up, we got Robbie Glenn on the phone lines. Be right back.
At Tuscaloosa Mazda, they are expanding their showroom to serve you better. Come see their new and pre-owned Mazda lineup, offering fuel efficiency, advanced technology.
All right. Here's another one. See, like, it's just a certain time. So here's an example of us lined up in what is what we would call a 3-4 front, right? So for all the people, you can't, we're running a 4-2-5. That's just a base defense. You can get in other things, guys. Here's a perfect example. This would be a 3-4, right? They've even got, they've got, who's that, Malachi? Then who is that, Devontae Smith? The box is loaded, right? Which makes sense. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so they're literally lined up in. So if you depends on if you're counting this guy as a back. I would probably say 22 personnel. Is that what you would agree with? Would you agree with me? Probably consider him a back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 22 personnel. So obviously we're loading the box. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the box here. Right. And it's 3rd and 1, rightfully so. So what are we thinking? 3rd and 1, they're in 22 personnel. They're running the football. Right. So what happens here is they run form of an option play, similar to what they've been doing. Right. Who is this? Is that LT up there? Whoever it is. Sorry. It's hard for me. It's not as clear as what's the settings on? Damn, 720. It don't look very clear. Anyway. He gets down block. He should be closing on this. Now, what's confusing is I would assume he would be the quarterback player, but then I don't really know who's playing the dive. So if he was a dive player here, then Deontay should be wrapping to take the quarterback. Regardless, though, I mean, there's a result. And the biggest thing is, regardless of the responsibility, again, it's a little muddy for me, but what happens here is, again, and you got to read your keys. When this guy closes, I'm assuming the way he's playing a quarterback technique. We call that a sit and feather, right? You're basically sitting in you're basically playing the quarterback inside out, right? You don't want to get too far upfield, too wide, because then the quarterback will hit that gap with the dive hit. But what happens is he doesn't close enough. That's what I'm saying. It's all these small little details, man. It's not anything about talent. It's not. He doesn't close enough, and the result is a huge gap. You see that? Not even huge. I mean, but that's the thing with these option things. He hesitated literally probably not like a half second, and that's all it took for there to be too much space for that dive just to hit that hole. And now you're relying on a one-on-one because remember, we had literally 9 guys in the box. So that means he's your last resort. That's your last help. Other than you got a corner out there, and he's your last resort right there. Oh, wait, you guys can't see my mouse. Sorry, I'm on the other thing. Nah, Ricky, we play the clip. It gets in all that copyright stuff. But again, eye discipline, bad here. Lack of execution. That's not on the scheme, guys. I mean, and welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tie 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. All right, we got to go back to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. Again, we've been looking at some of these clips. We found another one in this Vanderbilt game, man. Again, this time it was LT, not closed, not squeezing enough. Even though the way they played it, typically you would think he would be the quarterback player, which he played it as if he was initially the quarterback player. But then when I see Deontay coming around C-gap like that, I'm assuming maybe he was actually supposed to be the dive, which that would have been his right there, regardless, lack of execution. But I'm showing these clips. And again, if you guys are listening on radio, you can see it live on our stream at the Miller's Edge. But basically what I'm explaining is, we're talking about, do we have the personnel? Do we have the scheme to stop this type of offense? Well, everything I'm showing you guys, this is failure to execute on the player's behalf. So it's not so much the scheme in these examples, which goes to show, which is good and bad thing. Good news is this can be cleaned up, right? I mean, he tightens down, he squeezes harder. You don't have, Quay Rousseau running up the field on that other clip, right? If guys are executing the way they're supposed to, you get a different result. You can't really put that on the coaches. Now, I still believe that there still was adjustments that should have been made. Now, this was later in the game, right? And so we saw how they loaded the box. And again, it was 22 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, and 1 receiver, right? So we were fully loaded in the box, 3rd and 1, and this was a result. I don't remember how it plays out, but they definitely get the first down. But ends up being a pretty big gain. And then luckily, Damani Jackson was there to stop him. If not, it was going to the house. But little details like that, if you go back and watch the clips and the tape from last year, and that's why we're so adamant on doing so, that tells you the story. Don't just please, guys. There's too many people nowadays that again, I'm not knocking them. Get it how you live. But people have these platforms and they're just talking. They're saying that they don't do this stuff. You have to watch the tape. It will tell you the tape. It'll tell you the tale. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 205-342-9904. We got Robbie Glenn up next. Robbie, welcome in.
Hey, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good, man. How's everything y'all's way? Did y'all have a good 4th?
Yeah, it was good. Stayed around the house with Stryker, and, we don't travel. Then we ended back up in Children's doing some tests, but we're back home doing okay. But I love y'all's show because y'all have so much depth into everything. Y'all played at the highest level. I mean, all the years y'all played, studied film, played against many different offenses, played in different defenses. So y'all know exactly what it takes to break it down. But you're hitting on something that I think has plagued Bama and a lot of teams, but Bama is what we're talking about. over these last few years, the last couple of years with Coach Saban, and then last year, is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing I'm going to be watching to see if we got that back. And it's not just broken coverages, which is going to happen, but it's the bad snaps at the wrong time, the late hits. You know, we had that one against Tennessee. We stopped them 3rd and 10, and we had a bad late hit. I mean, it wasn't even close. And they gave them the first down, and then they scored a touchdown. Like, how do we get back? How do we get that stopped? At least clean it up a little bit. And that's the thing I want to see is how disciplined this Alabama team is this year. What do you think about that? Do you think they're going to be more disciplined? I mean, they're talking a good game, and we have the athletes. I love what we have going on, and the excitement's there. But
yeah,
that hurt us last year a lot.
Yeah,
and you
no.
keep bringing up the Vandy game, which I want to move past. You know, I'm tired of the Vandy. But also against that Vandy team, it wasn't so much the discipline. It seemed like we got out hit that game. I don't know if you thought that, but it seemed like they were more physical than we were that game, and that you just don't see that out of Bama.
No, you're 100% right. Now, if you go back and listen to the episode we did coming off of that game, I mean, we emphasized that we got out physical by them. Now, granted, I'm just pulling up just a couple of clips because we were talking about the option, and really when we talk about discipline to stop the option, like my dad said, man, you've got to play assignment football. That's why we've been harping on that. But yeah, if you look the whole outlook for the Vanderbilt game, the key components to that loss were failure to get off the field. We got out physical up front. We pretty much lost the battle of the trenches. And then what we've been discussing today is, you know, the lack of discipline. Just like this clip we're looking at here. Now that I've got the end zone view, you can clearly see you've got, again, two guys in the same gap doing the same thing. No one's really taking the dive. You got two guys trying to play the quarterback. So anyway, with that being said, no, to answer your question, Robbie, to get that level of discipline, man, it all starts between the eyes. It's a mindset, and it's something that, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's established day in, day out of you building the right habits, right? Doing the right things. And that's why, you know, when we used to, you know, really harp on things in our day to day, it was so important, you know, like Coach Cochran, like if he came in the locker room and there was trash on the ground, he'd make all of us go clean it up, right? Make sure people are putting our laundry loops, right? Because we had the little loop thing. You put your dirty laundry on there, throw it in the thing, you know. Those are hanging on the ground all over the place. We had to clean all that. It's all about the little details, wearing the right socks, hands behind the line, not your fingernails on the line, everything behind the line. And I think truly, I mean, from my experience, the emphasis on those small details is what helped us translate that stuff into the game. Now, we weren't perfect by any means. While we were trying to practice that, we weren't perfect. In the games, we weren't perfect. But the fact that we were trying and it was on the forefront of our mind, like, hey, we have to do this right, it helped clean that up. Plus, I think it also comes to really, Robbie, you got to learn how to be a football player mentally, a smart football player. You hear me talk all the time about this pre-snap stuff, man. Sometimes when you watch tape, you can clearly tell these guys, man, they're trying to just go out there and play, but they're missing the main component that comes pre-snap, and that's really just having football, you know, awareness, right? Situational awareness. Just like I just taught, it's 2nd and 1, and you know you're playing a team that likes to run the football. Why are you jetting upfield? That's not good football awareness, right? That leads to mistakes. That leads to penalties, right? Like if you know you're in a certain situation, right? There's times you can probably be a little more aggressive. Sometimes you probably should be more conservative. You have to have that awareness. And I think, and I hate to always bring it back to Coach Saban, but I'm just telling you, man, he just was so good at enforcing the little details, really harping on, you know, discipline, harping on teaching us the whys of things, not just saying, hey, this is your assignment. But no, this is why you're doing it. This is what the guy next to you is doing and why you need to do it this way. Because if not, this is how it affects this guy. Or like we really learn how to be football players, not just knowing what to do, but why to do it, how to do it, and why it was important. So I think if you can kind of really emphasize all that, Robbie, I think that'll lead to it. But you're right. I mean, from what we're hearing coming out of the building, I mean, it sounds like they said to hell with showing up late to the meetings. That's not going to fly anymore. You know, people are buying in more. So hopefully that stuff leads to what you're describing is, you know, less of the undisciplined stuff and more of getting back to those true, standards and values of playing disciplined football. Because you're right, it has plagued us even before Coach DeBoer got here. I would say probably the last 4 years we've really seen it.
But do you think a couple things play into that factor? I mean, we know the players are still studying film and still trying to make the plays, but do you think the game, because it's gotten faster, these offenses, or do you think more of the transfer portal where players aren't on the same page because they haven't gelled and been there together, going to practice every 2-3 years together? Do you think those play into factors of being a first-year player coming in and reading it different than the free safety did if you're a corner, and now you look like you made the wrong coverage, or do you have any of those play into factor?
Yeah, I mean, I think, just like anything, I mean, there always can be a number of things, and I think that's normally the case. I know a lot of people like to point to one thing, but I don't think that's ever true with anything. I think there's always going to be a number of contributing factors. I think, to me, that could play a role, Robbie, but I genuinely just think what it comes down to is, man, you just really have to enforce, the whys of things, right? Like, you have to get people to really understand that. And it's going to come easier for some than others. Like, some guys might not truly be able to grasp everything that's going on. And it's not easy, right? Like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's already hard enough to learn your position, let alone start learning other guys, right? But that was one thing we used to do too, was Coach made us learn, what the other guys around us were doing. Because if we knew what they were doing, it helped us understand what we were doing even further. But maybe transfer portal stuff could play a role, but I think really, if I'm just being completely transparent, I think it just boils down to you just got to have smart football players and guys that understand the game. My dad's on here. Wouldn't you agree that when it comes down to that being disciplined and having that awareness, you really just have to, you get to a point where you understand the game of football. You understand, like, hey, we're in this down and distance. We're in this situation, right? This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
This is what's expected. That, to me, I mean, yeah, maybe having some more youth, having guys that, more focused on things outside of football, maybe that plays a role. But I think it's more so just, I don't think people really understand the game of football at a true depth where they probably should, to help avoid that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think the main thing here, when you talk about playing defense, you said it perfectly. You got to understand what the guy next to you is doing, what his responsibility is, and that means that the communication is better. But I thought it's also critical to know what they're doing on the other side. That means studying tape, and that allows you to play with anticipation. You talk a lot about Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly knew what the other team was doing. He knew what the offense was about. Formations, he knew what the percentages were when they're in I near, I far, trips, whatever, like doubles, that they ran a certain play a certain percentage of the times. I mean, being a student of the game defensively helps you play the game faster. That means you're not thinking. And then when you're playing a spread option team and you're thinking, you're beat. You're beat already, right? So the educational part of the game, learning your scheme, what you're doing, knowing what the player beside you is doing as well. That way y'all can work very well together. And then knowing what the offense is doing based on formations. Well, they in spread with the flex or whatever. They got a guy that's kind of like a slot sitting there, and he goes in motion. Well, then you got to slide the front. Well, when you slide the front, responsibility changes, and then your gap changes, and then so like all these things should be like automatic, like riding a bicycle. Like, what you're doing, and when you know what you're doing, you play free. You play free, you play fast, and you play furious. And I think a lot of times when I watched Bama last year, last 2 years, even when Nick Saban was there. Think about Tennessee game, right? All the mistakes, guys turn around looking at each other. They didn't know what their responsibility was, and then you get a guy running deep. Jalen Hyatt, that's his name, from Columbia right here, had 5 touchdowns because a lot of mistakes, right? So if you don't know what you're doing, you cannot play the game called football. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get that figured out. But back in the day when I played high school, I didn't play it out. I played baseball at Bama, but like you said, we played wishbone back then. I was older, and then my senior year we went to the old wing tee because we didn't have the size, we didn't have the big fullback to try and do some misdirection to keep some of these faster, bigger teams maybe over pursuing. So, like you're saying, some of these smaller schools like Vandy do against us. But yeah, I hope we get back to discipline and and smash mouth at the same time, where we just make people quit again.
Yeah, no,
I miss those days.
I don't know if you
That's
remember me
risky.
saying a lot last year. I talked about limiting how much players have to think, right? I talked about simplifying. I didn't want to call it dumbing down because that's taken away from the player and their intelligence. But I just know the more simplistic you can be defensively, you can play the game more fast and more physical, right? And that helps the defensive player where he knows where he's going. That's why I like sometimes the pre-called blitzes and dogs where guys and I don't care what you do offensively. We're not changing. We're coming after you. We're coming to knock your head off, right? We're not. I don't have time to think. So I think you got to incorporate that. Then also in today's game, I think you also have to incorporate the PlayStation part of the game, meaning that because offenses are so diverse now, there's so many motions, there's so many switching and this type of thing, right? You have to be able to think, right, and be really smart. So you get in this chess match, if you will, between coordinators because that's what you see a lot of the time. You see this when you're talking about playing Vanderbilt, when you're talking about playing Florida State with Gus Malzahn. When you're talking about playing these teams, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, and you're playing, these types of minds that's brilliant, then the defense coordinator also has to have some level of brilliance because sometimes the plain Jane defense just don't work against those types of offenses because what they try to do is get numbers. Now, how can they get the numbers against you? That means you can't defend it. So that's what they're trying to do, and that comes with a lot of thinking, a lot of thought goes into how out scheme you. That's the word I'm looking for. How do I out scheme you? And I think that's the way the game now is played when you're playing, especially lower level teams that they can't physically dominate you mano a mano like a Vanderbilt. So it'll be interesting to see what changes I think defensively Alabama makes with what they're doing, and then also how can this defensive line get back to dominance like they were in those championship years?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why I love y'all's knowledge. Y'all pick it apart perfectly, and I want to see it. So, Craig, I know y'all got other callers, but Chris, when you have quarterbacks running their mouth like Vandy and Florida State, y'all take that? Like when y'all make a hit, y'all remind him of what he's saying?
Man, Robbie, I'm telling you right now, if I was on this team, game one, that he would have to feel me. I mean, the way that dude's talking, yeah. I mean, 100%. I will be disappointed if we don't see this defense really lay the wood on him for game one against Florida State. I will be upset if I don't see them come out teeing off, peppering him every chance they get because
here's what I'm gonna do.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm used to playing in the era where there was bounties, right? I just told somebody this in at the old cigar shop I go in here called Smoke Break, and they were like, "Man, quarterback was just talking all." We watched a throwback game, and it gave me chills. I'm like, if a quarterback ever, Randall Cunningham, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, all these Hall of Fame guys that I played against, I wish they would open their because see, back when I played, you couldn't do that because you know what? Even a halftime coach would say, "Listen here, I got 10,000 if you knock him out of the game." So I mean, this was
Roger Goodell might be listening. You better be careful.
It's past the point or whatever they call it. I'm not a lawyer, but it's past the time.
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations. Thank you. But listen, here for any Bama defensive lineman, I got an NIL deal for you.
Oh, hey,
right?
Hey, whoa.
Mr. Castellano, Mr. Castellino, let me just tell you something. He better not make it through the game. He shouldn't. I ain't saying hurt him for his career. I'm not talking like that. But it's okay to make him go to sleep for about 10 seconds. And with the concussion rule, he can't come back in. So all I'm just telling you, hit him in that ear hole one good time.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's sayonara, good night. We'll see you next 2-3 weeks, okay? And that's for you, Danny Cannell. So I'm going to put my NIL there for I'm going to tell Danny, I got a stack. I got about a stack plus 5 if Mr. Castellano can't finish the game. There you go.
Oh, okay. That's a joke. Y'all didn't hear that.
There we go.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding, guys.
Oh, man. Robbie, we appreciate you, brother. Greg Sankey, that was
I appreciate it, guys.
We'll see you, man. Hope you and Stryker are doing well. Greg Sankey, if you're listening, that was a joke.
No, that's not a joke. The
Yeah,
Bounty, they already talked about that with New Orleans. I'm telling you right
no,
now.
No. I'm saying what you said about the Florida State guy.
Greg Sankey,
Ain't nobody on this show paying nobody to hurt nobody.
Listen,
Greg Sankey,
I would encourage them to hit him extremely hard. Listen, I don't even mind. I don't even mind if you get a 15-yard penalty. If you get a shot,
depending on what's going on in the game.
I'm telling you, Christian Miller is my edge guy. If you get a shot at this guy, take the shot. Even if it's a 15-yarder, we good with now. Don't put it if it's a game close, something like that. But it's early in the game. You get a shot, we want to rattle him. I want to rattle his cage, and I want you to take shots. Period.
We'll allow one undisciplined penalty in that Florida State game, and it will be that one. But just that one, and not at the critical moment of the game. But then we got to get back to disciplined football. There we go. Then we got to get back to this timeout. Right? We come back. I believe we got Marty from Arkansas on the phone lines. Plus, I got a quick little clip I want to play for you guys as we keep on rolling right here on this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Man, you trying to get us investigated by that new NIL clearinghouse? Well, I don't want them touching my back pay, man. I don't want them touching my back pay. Let me run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
With them to Atlanta for the upcoming football season. We'll also
a signing bonus, right?
Say it again.
My signing bonus was $35,000. They came to me and said, "Would you like this in 10s, 20s, or a few hundreds and 50s?" When I got my signing bonus, that's how low it was, $35,000 in 1991. So if a coach comes in and I made $90,000 was my base salary, so that's about $125, right? Okay. Now the coach comes in there and says, if anybody knocked Randall out this game or Dan Marino out this game, or we got 10 stacks. Oh, you knocked out. You as good as knocked out. I'm getting it. I'm making it a point to get that 10K on Monday morning. What's up, Chef? Let me answer some of these YouTube. I can't respond on, I don't know why, but I see you. Golf at Kiva Dunes. Nice. Bounty Gate. That's it, Carson. Bounty Gate. I missed some of these, but I hope y'all doing well, man. Love hanging out with you. I'm sitting here at Starbucks here in Columbia. Getting ready to do a little business thing. I was prepping for my sermon early on today for Sunday. If you want to watch it, you can get on my YouTube, 5 o'clock Sunday. Title. Here it is, folks. Peep this title. What do you do when God asks you to do something crazy? Like Peter, come, get out the boat in the middle of a storm. Like Abraham, leave your family, all your people, all that comfort zone, and go to a place. He didn't even tell them where he's sending them to. He just said, go to a place where I'm going to show you. How do you respond? Oh, that's on my sermon on Sunday. It's going to be good. But how would a Bama defensive edge guy respond when I say, go wherever they're playing, to Tallahassee, and put the beat down on Castellano?
Jesus. Oh, wow.
Oh, Lord. I got to get out of here in a few minutes. I've been working on my sermon. I've been doing a lot of stuff this morning.
No, you're good. Now, I'm looking at this back angle. See, the same thing, though. I mean, I can't tell who truly is. I'm assuming Deontay ended up being the quarterback player here. But anyway, don't sit and feather. Don't squeeze enough. Too big of a gap.
Carson says his dad's a pastor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Free.
You guys are like, bro, we don't want to see Vanderbilt, man. We're sick of it. No, we're just talking about the philosophy there.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, so we just got done talking with Robbie Glenn, and a lot of good conversation there. We had a lot of good football talk, a lot of good football talk, man. We love when we get to do this. Again, just like you like getting your news from reliable sources, man. It's no different when it comes to Alabama football. You guys want the realist, the credible breakdowns of what to expect, what's happening, and you just want to learn something about the game. You got to get it from a good, reliable source, man. We got you covered here on the Miller's Edge. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys check us out on YouTube at the Miller's Edge. That way you can watch this stuff as we talk about it. Obviously, you can always listen to it while we're doing the radio show, of course. But make sure you guys stay up to date with everything at the Miller's Edge on everything. And we appreciate everybody that supports the show and all our listeners and all that good stuff. But again, man, we're going to keep doing more of these breakdowns because I know you guys love to hear it. Obviously, you guys keep mentioning you love the breakdown. So we'll keep talking about this stuff too because it's good for you guys. You get to learn about it. So that way, when you're watching the games this upcoming season, you can say, hey, I learned about the technique. He should have been playing the quarterback. What's he doing? You're not just screaming and shouting and just, making a ruckus. You now know why you're frustrated. There you go. So that being said, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Marty. Ball knowers. Yeah, Carson's a ball knower for sure. We got a lot of ball knowers. We're breeding ball. Maybe we need to make a shirt. Breeding ball knowers. We're breeding ball knowers on this show, man. We're teaching you guys the game. We're breeding ball knowers here on the Miller's Edge. You ain't gonna find these breakdowns anywhere else. I promise you that. That's a fact. When it comes to Alabama football specifically, you definitely will not find it. So there you go. Sorry, guys. Sometimes you just got to have a little confidence, right? All right, 205-342-9904 is the number. Marty, you're up next. Welcome in.
All right. Hey, that's true. You just got to break it down and then know what you're talking. That's something I do on Saturday. I take the game, and then on Sunday I go get two defense coaches that coached at state championship high school football here, and they break it down for me and tell me what we did wrong or what we did right and why we lost. But one thing too, the Florida State game's the first game. So they shouldn't go in there saying, oh, I don't know, he's going to go here. It's almost like playing Navy way late in the season. You only got 1 week to prepare for them, and then they run something at you, and the guy jumps the wrong way, and there he goes off on a touchdown because you're not used to it. It's just like the first in the 60s when the wishbone come out. That guy crashed, and the guy on the outside went down the sideline for a touchdown because they didn't know how to play it. But once teams caught up how to play it, it was basic, like what your dad said, fundamental, stay in your zone, stay in your lane, and play football. You got to be patient with them. Like you can't overrun it or you let them go. And that's like Gus. Gus going to throw that junk at you, and you just got to be patient, play your zone. You got the whole summer to get ready for it. You got the whole first game to get ready for it. You don't got to worry about nothing else except get ready for Gus Malzahn's junk. And that's all you got to do.
That's right.
You got the whole, you go in there and you're not prepared, well, it's your own, it's the player's fault. I hope the coaches are teaching them, but it's the player's fault for not executing. But you know what? It's just like me around here. And like you said, history. You look at that 1925 team that came in from California, everybody was on the side of that train yelling Roll Tide. They put football on the map in the South. And that's what. And another thing, fans. I'll tell you what, your dad go out there, except for maybe him, but he go look around, go tell me how many people got an Alabama jersey on. You go to every state in this United States, someone's got an Alabama jersey on, not a South Carolina or Arkansas or LSU or a dirty hillbilly one on. And this girl just bought a dirty hillbilly one.
Oh man!
But yeah, see, and it's like me here. They say, "Why you live in Arkansas and don't like Alabama?" I said, "Well, I've liked Alabama. I like history." And my first game was watching Ken Stabler run, and and my friend would always show. And they said, "Oh, Namath couldn't run." Well, if you look at the 61 and 62 clips before he stepped on that stone against North Carolina State his senior year. And they didn't know how to take care of knees back then. They just stuck that needle in you and pulled out the fluid, and that was it. The doctor didn't know what was wrong with them, and they just stuck you back in there. But he could run like a deer. He can run like a deer, and that's Alabama football. But tomorrow I'll bring up something else about it too. How football in the South and the North wasn't the same in the 50s.
Dang, it wasn't the same in the 50s.
I'm just trying to figure out how Marty threw some shade at my Gamecocks like that.
What I'm talking about is this. When during the Civil War and the Union succeeded and lost, they lost all their money. They made their own money. The North put a hurting on them for 50 years. It's just like Alabama football in 25. They won it, but they didn't want to give it to them, but they had to. There was nobody else. They put a hurting on football in the South. The UPI and the AP did. You look at the polls, like 1966. How do you win in 64 and 65 and you start out number one in the country and then you don't win the national championship? They give it to Northern Michigan State and the no good Notre Damers and put Alabama number 3. And that's just one thing because they hated the South. They hated the South and they hated South football.
Wow. There's a history lesson.
20 years, but it's changed now. It's changed now because Alabama put it on the map and we're the best school around. We got the fans, 70,000 fans show up to the game. That's why they used to have to play them in Birmingham. Brown Stadium was too small. They would go to Birmingham, have 70, 80,000. Another thing he did, he got John McKay to come to Birmingham and made Sam Pam Birmingham run all over us because he told them run Sam Pam 30 times. If you look the rest of the year, Sam Pam Cunningham never ran the ball more than 10 times. But he run all over Alabama. When Bear Bryant left, he goes, give me some of them Jimmy Drills that they have, and I'll be able to win football games. Well, he put the wishbone in 1971, and the next 10 years, Alabama had the best records in football.
Wow. That's quite the history lesson, Marty. I appreciate that, man. I'm learning stuff every day.
I'm not trying to get, race, people, I'm not trying to go there. I'm just saying, it's just like in one bank I bank at, if I have on my Alabama jersey, I'm not allowed to come in the bank.
Oh, wow.
I've been barred from that bank. Because I wear Alabama jersey in there, and they got all.
So wait, hold on, Marty. You trying to tell me your money don't mean as much as about the Alabama jersey or the Alabama? Jersey?
There's a lot of banks, luckily, right? I mean, luckily he can just go to Wells Fargo. There's 5 branches of that bank, but the bank downtown, right there, was really close to my house. When I go in there, I had it on. And the president come all the way down from his office and said, I appreciate you not wearing your Alabama jersey in here anymore. Wow.
I'd
hope it's a joke. It's probably all fun and games.
I don't know. That girl was pretty upset I walked in there with it on. And she's a good friend of mine. She asked me not to wear it no more, too. People hate Alabama around here.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that about Arkansas. I mean, yeah, that's interesting.
But there's a lot of people around here wear Alabama jerseys, and we call Roll Tide at the.
Well, you keep representing, Marty, as long as they don't get you no real issues. But yeah, you keep on representing.
I don't know if I'm still on there or not, but Bama Boy Tide on whatever one of them sites. I got pretty upset. Sometimes I got put out the restaurant because I defended Alabama so strong.
Well, you keep doing what you're doing, Marty. Ain't nothing wrong with you.
You're over 40, and you.
I bet you that. Hey, at that South Carolina game, and that on Friday night, that cuckoo cock that your dad's gonna have in your ear all night long. He's gonna try to get you a little upset, but. Don't let them do it because Alabama will go there and show them.
Go Cox. Marty, go Cox.
That's funny. That's funny. Marty, we appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon, man.
Yeah. And don't forget to text me when you get that restaurant
Yeah, I know. I will. Don't you worry. I'll make it. I'll make it known. We got you, brother. Yes, sir. Good deal. All right. Well, that'll pretty much do it, man. It's been a very fun look, man. I love having film sessions with you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. We'll keep doing that. We do have SEC Media Days coming up next week, so we'll definitely get on that train. Pastor Payne, appreciate you hopping on here. Chase, appreciate you as usual. Appreciate all our listeners, everybody, the contributions, phone calls, everybody in the YouTube chat. Appreciate you guys live on our YouTube channel at The Miller's Edge, live on Facebook. All you guys, thank you guys so much. Up next, you got T-Town Sports Daily. Wyatt right here, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We'll see you guys tomorrow.